Russel Manser, how's it going?
Hey Josh, thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate it. If anyone tries to do something bad to a young person, man, there's some serious repercussions from that. You know, I've seen a bloke get killed over that sort of shit. I don't have regrets. Like, people can say to me about, what I've done. Well, I've paid a price for what I've done, But I wouldn't be the man I am today. I wouldn't be in the position I am today if that didn't pan out the way it was.
How many banks did you rob in total?
I think I was convicted of 12.
Fuck.
Spent 9 months in complete darkness in a segregation cell, I'll tell you something now, bank robberies are better than jumping out of airplanes. I'm telling you, they're more of a thrill,
You touched on a few pranks in prison. Was there one prank that just stands out for you?
Oh, yeah, I remember this really high-profile white-collar bloke.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Let's Trot Show, episode 16, with a pretty interesting character. Has a great life. Russel Manser, how's it going?
Hey Josh, thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
We share a similar last name, don't we?
I always get mixed. I always get the Lebanese thing. The Lebos pull me up and say, "You're a Manser." I have to correct them. I'm a Manser. But look, I'll take that as a compliment.
What's your background?
My parents are from Liverpool, England. They're what you call Scousers. They came out here in 1965 with 3 brothers and a sister that were born Liverpool, England. Me and my brother born Liverpool, Australia.
Liverpool supporter?
100%.
We might have a bit of conflict there.
You'd be a Manchester, wouldn't you?
Nah, not at all. Arsenal supporter.
Okay, fair
Arsenal
enough. London.
Fan. Live and breathe Arsenal.
Yeah.
Being in Long Bay and Goulburn, did you ever picture yourself here now? Bit of a social media personality, over 100K followers. Did you ever visualize that for yourself?
Funny. No, man. Honestly, I didn't. I didn't see that, and having the positive impact on people. That I'm having today. So I pinch myself, man. I've got gratitude running through every cell of my body, and I'm so grateful, and grateful to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming, brother. You're a very authentic person, and I think that's why you do so well in front of the camera. Was that something always coming natural to yourself?
Look, I was never scared of it. Like, I remember my brother is 3 years older than me. He could talk the birds out the trees. He's got that confidence. He's a salesman, and even at one stage he was a prison officer. And I call him the black sheep of the family. But he always used to say, they can't shoot you. So, don't be scared. And I sort of took that on from a young age.
What pushed you to go down that journey?
The crime journey?
Or not the crime, just, telling your side of the story, helping people. Why did you because obviously a big change in your life.
For sure. Well, I got myself in a lot of trouble and pain and everything like that. And I hate to think that, and my brother committed suicide when I was locked up, and I just thought, I wanted to have, I was always looking for a purpose in life, and I didn't, whether it be a criminal or whatever. And I just wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make a difference, and I love it. I love what I get back now. I've got an ego just as much as anyone else, and it's a really nice feeling when you get that when someone says you're an inspiration or something like that, and and it drives me. But knowing that I can make a change to not just children, but and people getting into trouble, but their families, I can sort of bring a bit of peace to some of the families that I work with.
So you're a bit of a mentor. Like, what would you say is your main focus, like day by day?
Well, I've got an organisation. We help survivors of institutional abuse begin the healing journey, and that's been my main focus. I think, because then people suffer really badly. But there's a spin-off effect to a lot of that. A lot of them people end up in drug addicts, have a predisposition for violent behaviour and that sort of stuff. So my job and my purpose in life is to help them people begin the healing journey.
Do you struggle to give energy to yourself? Because obviously you helping people, the offset of that is really putting out your energy to all those kind of people. Do you have time for yourself?
It's rare. You know what? But the work I do don't feel like work. Like I started this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning doing social media stuff. And that's nothing for me to work until 11 o'clock at night answering messages and that's for people. And yeah, I do. I get sometimes, I need to pull up, but it's very rare I slow down. I think part of my trauma response is to keep myself busy. I love being busy. I'm not one of these people who can just sit in a hammock and read a book.
I'm the same.
Yeah, I can't do that. It's like I've got to move, you know what I mean? I've got to move, and I like that. I like being busy, and I like doing something that makes me, I just like progress.
Yep.
I'm really hooked into progress and chasing and achieving goals. And when I tick off the goals, one thing I do it's about it. I don't often take time to appreciate the goal that I achieved. It's like next one, keep moving.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I'm getting to a stage in life where I'm starting to create a legacy. you know what I mean, with people that I've worked with. And, you know, nothing better than seeing, like, for social media is a beautiful thing like that. You start working with someone, you can see them start creating their memories. You know, they're on a holiday with their kids, or, you know what I mean, they're at their kids' sporting games and everything. And then people weren't always there. They'll, you know, often in cases they're locked up or, you know, suffering or in drug use or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's really good to be a part of that, knowing, hey, you know, that's so rewarding to see that. It's 100%. Such a good, oh man, it's heartwarming. And heartwarming when you get a message from a mother to say, thank you for bringing my child home, you know? That's a beautiful thing. And watching, because life's a photo album, right? It's a series of memories. We look back in our little photo albums. You'd know it personally, you know, you know your achievements in football, like for when you first made rep. There's a photo. You got a photo on your head right now.
Man, I've got an album at home.
Yeah. You got them, all these and life's a series, you know, and it's really nice to see. Like, I get these photos. I see these photos of these people's progress. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
Well, it doesn't sound like work. Hearing you speak, it sounds like a passion of yours, and not many people can live out their passion these days. You know,
what's the old adage? What's the old adage? You love the job you do and never work a day in your life.
Old cliche.
Yeah, I love it. I love what I do, and you know what? You know, I can be working until 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock of a Saturday night from 5 o'clock in the morning. I love it. I don't want to be out on the drink. I don't want to be, because that's what I love doing. That's where I get my joy.
I love that, brother. I love that. Well, proud partners, SHOEGRAB, have gave you a little bit of a gift, man. If you want to open that up and see what you got today, man.
Cheers.
No worries,
man. I love. You know what? I've been loving. I'm a big shoe fan.
Yeah.
I got more shoes than a Melbourne Marker.
How many shoes did you have in prison?
Well, I'll tell you what, shoes. I love them. I love Yeezys. Oh, good.
They're grouse.
Good. Thank you, man. Thank you, SHOEGRAB. Everyone, I encourage you to give SHOEGRAB a follow. Jump behind SHOEGRAB. You want, now that's quality. I'll tell you something now. That's good quality shoes. And one of my favourite shoes, and I was telling
that's comfy
the
too.
The SHOEGRAB guys. I was telling the SHOEGRAB guys the other day.
Yeah.
And they are mint. Like, they are the grouse.
You're doing my job for me, brother.
Yeah, they are the grouse. So I encourage all my followers, get behind shoes. And everyone asks me about my shoes, where do I get them from? And shoes and hats. But get behind SHOEGRAB and get them now. That's what you want. They're red hot.
Bit of a league fan?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, Penrith Panthers are my team. And I grew up in the days of Terry Wiki. And I remember sitting in the grandstands at the Chocolate Soldiers days and watching them getting flogged every week. And then along came Brandy Alexander, and that was a game changer. And that, you know, Mark Geyer, John Cartwright, Lou Zavanovic, who's a top bloke too, Lou. Shout out to Lou.
Yeah, he's done well for himself.
Yeah, he's done really well. And watching them guys come through and, you know, and change the culture of the area, you know, change that. Everyone wanted to play SG Ball, Harold Matthews, Jersey Flag. People were aspiring because, you know, you could get a I remember going to school and, you know, some of the boys like Rod Silver, David Smith, and these guys. My next door neighbour was a bloke called David Smith. He was in a Penrith, I think it was like under 18s grand final. He was a goal kicker. My dad was a soccer player. My old man used to get out there and teach him how to kick a football over the power lines, you know. And David Smith, I think he kicked a penalty from 5 metres in his own half. Or something like that. It was some astronomical kick. He just had this long kick to win the grand final, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys were heroes growing up. Like, you know, a lot of my mates played rep at the Panthers, the blokes I went to school with. A lot of them didn't make it, you know, and it's like, I guess it's like, I think the analogy of like a red hot racehorse, you know, a lot go through and you're one of the blessed ones, mate. You made it, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And you're a big part of the fabric. You're always going to be a Panther. You're always going to, no matter who you played for after that, you're always going to be remembered as a Panther.
Would you say footy in those kind of areas where you grew up was like the way out?
100%. And I think, you know, I've touched on this before we come in here, like the Penrith 91 grand final was a game changer for the whole area. That changed the mentality of people, you know, and I don't think some of them players realise the legacy they will leave. It showed people how to win. It showed the people, no matter, like, because, man, coming from Mount Druitt and areas like that, we were socially fucking lepers. You know what I mean? We you know, you go on the North Shore and those areas, and they used to hang shit on us from being there. You know, it used to be a common joke, you know, being from those sorts of areas. But this that 91 grand final showed people how to win. Penrith, win the next. I was in jail in Alice Springs, and fucking I would have fought to watch this fucking grand final because they're all AFL supporters out there, and I'm turning on the TV and they didn't want to watch it. But anyway, it did, and and look what come out of there. All of these, you got rappers, you got fighters, you got UFC fighters, and the more Penrith Panthers win, the more people in the area win.
100%.
A lot of successes coming out of there. Whether it's sport, entertainment, and in business. You know what I mean?
Well, you shouldn't be judged on your upbringing.
No,
you know what I mean, I feel like that's all wrong. Like for me, when I was playing at Penrith, we used to use that kind of mentality that it was us against the world. Like you just said, like everyone looked down on us Westies. You know what I mean? Oh, the lepers, like you said, they're poor, they got nothing. You know what I mean? We weren't as successful in the early stages, but it looks
now
like
people are fucking bullshitting that they're from there.
Oh no,
They're saying in front. You go, what suburb? Oh, just near the train station. I'd say, mate, what suburb are you from? You go, I'm from Mount Druitt. You go, where? And they can't tell you.
Oh, I'm from out west. I'm from out west. Oh, West is a pretty big place, bro.
Yeah, what west? But it's and I loved it, and you know what? Every kid needs a hero, yeah. Every kid needs a hero, and often a lot of them kids don't find. A lot of them kids are from single parent families, and you know what I mean. And I reckon, Nathan Cleary would be a hero to a lot of kids these days out there. You know what I mean. Every kid would be kicking. You go to Brisbane, and every kid wanted to be like Alfie Langer. You know what I mean. But he's got that same influence of the kids out there now. You know what I mean. I love that. Islander kids will be having their, you know what I mean, Tahoe, you know what I mean, Brian
for
Tahoe.
sure.
They want to be like that little raging bull, you know what I mean? But I love what, people can, like Gus Gould brought a lot to that area.
Big time.
He you know what I mean? Yeah, love him or hate him, that Penrith's sporting excellent thing is just, that's another game changer. I think Drinkwest have invested with
DFC, I think it was.
Out there with Tai Tuivasa, they've got that gym out there. So people are investing. People are seeing that there's rich talent. Now, I think Newcastle had the juniors under wraps for a long time.
They did. Yeah,
I think Penrith's way surpassed that. Doesn't matter these days. If Penrith loses a good player, they've got 10, they're going to lose Luai. No, they're going to have 10 5/8s.
The only thing with that is there's no reward producing players, unfortunately. That's what happens with the salary cap, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously being so successful, you're just seeing all the guys leave now. You got Spencer, Critter, Matt Burton.
Yeah. Now they've got, what is it called? The Canterbury Panthers.
They're close. They're not far off.
Yeah, the Canterbury Panthers. I mean, yeah, and that must be disheartening for that sort of club to sort of do that investment. But, at the end of the day, there's going to be kids just stacking up as they're coming through. It's really good to see the emergence of the Polynesian boys out there too. They're getting that confidence to do that, you know what I mean? And the funny thing about Penrith can make them win, but the Warriors can't.
They started this. I think they figured it out now.
Yeah.
They're starting to figure it out. I think the NRL is predominantly, it's over 50% Polynesian based.
Yeah.
So I think the game is really investing in those kind of guys and that culture, and they're just they're amazing athletes. We all see what they can do on the footy field. And
were you playing against many Polynesian kids when you were?
Oh, heaps, man. Yeah, like my junior clubs was predominantly Polynesian, Lebanese.
What area did you grow up?
So I grew up in the West.
Yeah.
I lived in Lakemba at first, and then I was shipped to Port Campbell with my grandparents, with my family. My parents were going for a bit of trouble, and then I moved to Elwood Marrickville. So I was lucky enough to live with my mum. We had a housing commission.
Good football
home.
areas though.
Always
you're always in good football.
I was actually a soccer player at first, but then all my mates were rugby league players, and I wanted to play rugby league with my mates. Go out with them as much as I can. And it was a decision I don't regret.
Yeah, and you've done well.
Thanks, brother.
Didn't you? But for me, you'll always be remembered as a Panther.
I agree. I feel like my identity is a Panther. I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to play with South a couple of seasons, but I grew up in Penrith. I lived a quarter of my life out there. You know what I mean? I was there for almost 10 seasons. So, I'm 33 now.
Yeah.
So
what about you? What is it? How does it feel like for you when you get announced in an Origin team or a?
Oh, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Man.
Tell it what's that feeling of running out?
It's actually hard to put into words. It's all emotion, man. All the hard work that you put in. I was getting flashbacks, and it's the most rewarding experience. Picture everything that you worked hard for, and finally living out that dream. It's just the best feeling in the world.
I remember going to Manchester. I took a fighter over there called Bruno Torimo to fight in front of 10 or 12,000 Manchester fighters. And that was 12,000, right? And I'm thinking, imagine it being 90,000.
It's honestly, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. Like it's hard to put it, like just hearing your name getting chanted and the energy of the crowd just really cheering for you. It's the hardest thing about it is you have to block that out.
Yeah.
So you can't really enjoy all of it in because as soon as the whistle's gone, like that's it, you're in game mode.
Yeah.
So the crowd's irrelevant at that point.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really take it all in until after the game, I guess. But when all the energy is in the stadium, it's right at the beginning, all that anticipation, you know what I mean? And I feel like for me, like one of the proudest moments is singing the national anthem. Like I'm such a proud Australian, man. We live in one of the best countries in the world, and to see everyone standing up as one and singing that anthem, like that's a fucking special feeling, man. Honestly, it's proud. I'm proud to be who I am. You know what I mean? So speaking of Penrith, before I go to the next question, like what would you say is your favourite grand final team? Like you got 91, 2003, 21, 22, 23.
91, I think, when Royce scored 2 tries.
Yeah.
Like he was just a character, Royce. Like I remember in Penrith, there used to be a nightclub called Connections in Penrith, and Royce and Peter Tunks would be, they're not meant to be out on a Friday night, and they'd be hiding up there. I remember seeing them, and they were. He was just a character, Royce. He was just a character.
Was,
but I think that was the one, and Brad Fittler really come into his own. And that's when people realised how special Brad Fittler was going to be. You know what I mean? And I think because he's always a character, Brad Fittler. You know, he was always like he's another one that could have went either way for him.
Oh no, like, I've heard some stories.
One bad decision for Brad Fittler, and he was on the like he was, he I guess he wouldn't have got away back in them days. What players wouldn't get away with the people he hung around with and some of the things he used to do. Yeah, I think he was one bad decision away, and I'm glad that happened for him. Like, look at him now; he's killing it. You know what I mean?
It's almost like a crossroad, man. You can go either way. Like, honestly,
so easy.
It's so easily, so easy. There's a lot of distractions. It's hard to stay focused, and especially when you're getting all the hype, all the attention.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing.
I've seen in prison. I've seen a lot of guys that had all the talent in the world, and you just see them and just think you could have been anything. Could have been a footballer, could have been a boxer, could have been a lot of and a lot of Indigenous kids. You know what I mean? Go down one bad decision. That's just that, mate. I went out with the boys. We got on the bags. We got into a fight. You know what I mean? Because the clubs will wipe you like a dirty ass these days. Yeah. Any bad media stuff. And
it's true.
Footballers can't. Footballers are just so over regulated. They're just so focused on.
It's not only football. I feel like it's community as well.
Yeah.
You look at what's happened to the nightlife in the Cross, right? Like
gone,
finished, dead. Like I went down to Melbourne for the Australian Open, and man, Melbourne was just such a vibrant city. Nightclubs open, people about.
I was down there myself a couple of weeks ago. How good!
Oh, just chalk and cheese with Sydney. But I guess it's the time we live in. Like we can't change it.
I was just in the gym this morning with Eric Drury, and he's one of the biggest club owners in Sydney. A Lebanese bloke, good bloke, and you just can't. They're just not viable anymore. They're just not viable. It's crazy, huh? And then we got another thing too. We've got the coppers. In particular, the Raptor, they're a bikie squad telling musicians what they can't, where they can play and where they can't play. And, they're basically just doing what the mafia have done in New York. Like, Curser's a mate of mine, and he had to pay all this money to have coppers and metal detectors at his concert. You know what I mean? We're in a bit of a dangerous situation when the coppers start dictating what we can listen to and who can play where and who can't play where. That's dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. And I want to take them on. I'll take them on. I've got 45 law firms behind me. I'll take them on, and I've told them, I've showed a lot of them that because they'll pick on these people. These people don't know their legal rights. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Would you say is your best 17 Panther outfit?
Look,
I know,
obviously, I know. I would say definitely Alexander. Oh, no, it's a bit hard now. We've better be Cleary, Fittler 5'8". You got to love Royce Simmons. He'd always be Peter Tunks up front. What's his name? Just trying to think. The centers. I was a big Ryan Girdler fan. I thought he was good.
Would you have a fullback? One stands out for me.
Oh, there's a few. I like that recently. I like what's his name? The one who went to the Bulldogs.
Stephen Crichton. centre.
But him at fullback, you know, because he's just big. How big is he? Like
you're not going to outjump him.
Yeah, he's just so big and strong. But who was yours? Who was your fullback?
Man, like in terms of pure
you would have been
athlete,
in that. You would have definitely been. You would have got a winger spot. No doubt in my team. I'm not being.
brother.
100%.
I love Dylan Edwards.
But you were like a second rower.
Yeah, well, that's what I kind of built my game on. Like I'm just trying to to take those yardage carries and do as much work as possible to help my team. So I think it just developed out over time. I feel like when I first come into the league, there wasn't many wingers doing that, and I feel like I had a bit of a niche there, and it was a strength of mine.
Wendell sort of created a bit of that too, didn't he? Like
Wendell,
yeah.
Wendell. You got Takiri. I think
McDougall's
in centres. Yeah, I think before me, I think Manu Vadavai started doing that. Yeah. Bigger body, bigger frame.
I love hearing him. He's a funny guy.
He's a big man. Yeah. He's a scary man.
Who was for you? Who was like the scariest sort of bloke you'd play against? You know he's going to hurt you.
Scariest to play against. Man, I fucking fear no one, eh?
Yeah.
I embrace contact. I loved it. I had great battles with Jordan Rapana and Joey Leilua when they were both at Canberra. Was always a push and shove here and there, you know, maybe an elbow, a slight elbow. Yeah. He got me a beauty, one of my scars of thanks Rapana. But maybe those two stand out for me, like just always into each other, constantly.
I played in the Goulburn jail side, and we used to play.
So was it?
Yeah. We were it was called the Argyle Pirates.
Longest yard styles.
Yeah, oh man, and we had a concrete cricket pitch in the middle of the field, and they used to put 3 inches of sawdust over it. And
that's where the arthritis come from.
And there was a bloke. He was a trotting driver called Neil Day from Goulburn, and he had no teeth. You know, he had no teeth, and he just hit you, mate. And you were rattled, and you just didn't want to show him, you know. And he'd go, "Do you like that?" There's another one coming. And like, fuck. And I'd play lock or something like that, and then I'd just go, mate, fucking, just let me be for a bit, you know.
Do you find there's a lot of similarities between athletes and, you know, cons?
100%. I mean, there's a lot of There's a lot of similarities between how athletes live and you live in jail. That structure.
Yeah.
You know, that structure is so important. Without it, you know what I mean? There's fucking chaos. Disarray. And I like structure. Like I live a very structured life.
I'm the same.
I get up at the same time. I do the same things that I've got a winning formula, a blueprint for what's working. It's working really good in my life, and I don't want to change it.
Is this something you developed over time, especially coming out, or was this before?
I've always had a good work ethic. I've always been one of those, I get my work ethic for how I train, you know. I don't take shortcuts when I train. I don't have easy days. You know what I mean? My mind is on, and when I'm in the gym, and I take that into work. I just don't want to take shortcuts. If something's easy, I'll question, why is this so easy? I'm not looking for the hard way to do things, but hard ways challenge me. I love challenges. In
prison, like you have obviously your cliques and your crews and whatnot. Like, does that have a hierarchy system
100%.
As well? Like, you know, as a football team. You know, you got 1 to 13 that take the field every week. Everyone's got a unique position and whatnot. You got your captain. Is that the same in prison?
There's ball runners, you know, and there's areas like coming from Mount Druitt. We when I first went to jail, we all stuck together. You fought one of us, they were lining up to fight. You know, one of us is going to beat you. But definitely, you know, Middle Eastern have got their gang. The Kooris have got the Kooris. The Aboriginals stick together really strong, and they don't even need big numbers. They just got big hearts, you know, and they're talented. You know, the Asians stick together. It can be, you don't ever fuck with the Asians, but, you know, I was in jail for 23 years. I had 6 fights in 23 years. That's nothing. I know blokes have 6 fights in a week, because it's give respect, get respect, right? So you're not going to have no drama in there. Like the bullies will come along. Okay, get ready. If someone's going to disrespect you, so you've got to aim up, you know what I mean, and do your thing and do it well. Leave a bit of a legacy, a lasting imprint on their head and other people that see it, because word gets around, this bloke will have a go. People, you know, and people talk about, you know, homosexuality. Homosexuality is really frowned upon in prison. It doesn't, you know, I've done 23 years. I'll tell you what, I don't ever looked at a bloke and go, oh, geez, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. You know, I've never seen a nurse walking past and thinking it, and she mightn't have looked the best, but it's been a while, you know what I mean? But it's, you know, and people think it's that common. That's that one of the biggest misconceptions in there, you know what I mean? And if anyone hurts like tries to do something bad to a young person, man, there's some serious repercussions from that. You know, I've seen a bloke get killed over that sort of shit.
Do you earn respect in what kind of crime you've done on the outside? Like, is there kind of levels with that, or
Yeah, for sure. There was. When I first started going to jail, bank robbers were like, they were the top of the chain. They were the people to look up to. They were always good styles.
Would you say that was your style? Weren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I aspired to be a bank robber. Like, coming from Mount Druitt, I remember sitting on my veranda and watching the blokes get out of jail, coming past and get treated like war heroes. And, you know, a bloke across the road would be pushing his daughter out the way going, yeah, Cheryl, there's a good one for you. That's the type of bloke you marry.
You're kidding.
Yeah, they were treated like return war heroes. And, you know, and to see, you know, within weeks of them getting out of prison, they're driving, back in the day, it was an SLR 5000 or an A9X Trot or an XGD XU1. They were the car, they were your AMGs of today. You know, to see that my parents were working for 3 years to pay off a Datsun 180B, and all of a sudden, they got a car worth 4 times that amount. And, you know, that's a status in them areas. You got the nice car, you got, you know, nice clothes, you know, your house is decked out with good furniture on a housing commission joint. You know, that was real status. And I looked at that and I went, that's the way I want to be doing. Because I used to see the workers going, because back in them days, them areas, you aspired to be a factory worker, you know, and if you got a job as a leading hand or a foreman or whatever,
you're killing it.
Yeah, you were doing really well. If you were a bricklayer, man, you were the pimp of the area, you know what I mean? But I aspired to be like them because I didn't want to be a struggler. I didn't want to be just chained to the wheel. I seen that, you know. And even in today's, the way I've structured my business, my working life today, you know, my phone's my office. I go wherever I want to go, you know, and I'm not on a factory floor. Like, man, all the best to the people who do that, sort of that life, work in factories, man. I applaud you. Yeah. I applaud you, and good luck to you, man. I wasn't built for that.
And that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I feel, like we touched on it before, athletes and prisoners, there is definitely an alignment there.
Yeah.
You asked me the question about running out in front of, you know, thousands of fans. Where do you get your dopamine hit?
I get my dopamine, like I go up to, say, Brisbane Youth Detention Centre, and I work with African gangs. They're called African gangs, but they're kids of African descent that are born here, and they get into trouble. And I love working with them kids. And when I'm leaving, hearing them kids say, "Hey, Russell, please come back. We love having you." You know what I mean? That's a big thrill to me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that just talking to people and making a difference is what I get my big thrill. You know, I've got a couple of kids myself. I've got a 22-year-old that thinks he's Tupac, and then I've got my youngest one. I think I better get a DNA test on him. He's too responsible to be mine. He just fucking. I'm saying, where do you get this shit from? You know what I mean? Like he's 20 and he's bought his first excavator. You know what I mean? He said, "Oh, Dad," and it's all mapped out. I'll have my first house by the time I'm 23. And
wow,
you know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah, no, he's really structured, and he obviously gets it from his mother. He don't get it from me. But yeah, that's a good question. Man, I've got so many places where I get my joy from on a daily basis. You know, whether it be a nice comment off someone, or just making something. You know, but I'll tell you fucking what I've got these days that I've never had in my life. I've got peace. I'm so at peace with myself. I am so at peace. I can sit here now. I'm right here, right now. I'm not. See, the problem is when you're in that life of crime or in particular prison, you're wishing your life away. Now I'm hanging on to it. I'm just in this moment right now. I know where I am here. And I think that's that, you know, and the conduit to my peace and happiness is gratitude, right? So I'm so grateful I'm here. I'm so grateful for this beautiful gift from SHOEGRAB. I'm grateful that I'm sitting here with you, a bloke that I've, you know, looked up to. You're part of the fabric of my area, and doing an interview. So I'm right here, right now, in gratitude. And if you've got gratitude, you can't be resentful, you can't be angry, you can't be sad. You're grateful, you're happy. Gratitude equals happiness.
Exactly.
And that's the whole thing that I say to fucking people. I do this thing, right? So I'm a bit off kilter, I'm a bit pissed off. Someone's pissed me off, cut me on the track. I just stop and I go, bang, move my leg. And I'm grateful I can move my right leg, I can see you, I can breathe. My dad died of emphysema from smoking, you know, and I used to see him struggling, the fear in his eyes, trying to get that breath in. I was like, he was horrified, you know. I'm grateful for every breath I can take because I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I've never been a real pot smoker or anything for that because I've never wanted, because I remember at the time they had the AIDS campaign about, you know, how people were going to die from AIDS and everything. And I was thinking, fucking smoking is just as bad.
Yeah.
And they're not fucking, and they're not, you know, promoting that as bad, you know what I mean? So just that whole gratitude thing, I think it's so important. You must have a shitload too for your life.
Oh,
mate, you'd have a shitload to be grateful for.
Mate,
you're a good-looking rooster. You're in good shape.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I'm extremely grateful. Like I said before, like it's very hard for people to live out their dreams, their passion in life, and I've been able to do that myself. So, man, there's not one day that goes by that I'm not grateful. Like, I've got a beautiful family, got 3 lovely kids, and man, like my childhood. Like, if I was to go back in time and to tell my younger self, "Oh, this is what your life's gonna be," I'll be like, no fucking chance. Like, just my life back then when I was a kid to now, mate, massive difference. And that's my next question. Like, do you have any regrets? You have a lot to be grateful for, but do you have any regrets?
No, I don't, because I don't have regrets. Like, people can say to me about, what I've done. Well, I've paid a price for what I've done, but I wouldn't be the man I am today. I wouldn't be in the position I am today if that didn't pan out the way it was. You know what I mean? I don't look. The people go, "You pointed guns at people's face." I was never accused of pointing guns at people's face. I get people go to me. I get people to hit me up on social media. "I was in the bank when you robbed it," and I'll go, "No, you weren't. You're a fucking liar. You weren't there." And people ask me, "Are you sorry?" Well, sorry is a word. Remorse is an action, right? So my actions are reflective of someone who's remorseful. I don't do that shit no more. Based on my life, I'm giving more than I take. I try to be an asset to others. That's remorseful. That's what I see as remorseful. By me saying, "Hey man, I'm sorry, can I lick your feet?" Ain't going to make you feel any better.
It's true.
By me not doing it, you might go, and over a period of time, seeing me not doing it, you go, "You know what? That bloke's changed." But I still get people, in particular these people on social media with bad attitudes and even worse breath. You know what I mean? Thinking that I owe them something. There's this thing, and I've really encountered in the last, say, 2 years of my emergence on social media where people think I owe them an apology. I say, "Mate, if I say sorry to you, will it make you feel better?" And they can't tell you whether it will or not. So, but explain to me. One, I got a post yesterday, and they said, "How do you feel about the people you pointed guns at their faces?" I said, "Firstly, I've never been accused of pointing guns at. In my bank robberies, there was never even a gun being produced. No one ever even seen one. They just did the insinuation I had one."
Oh, really? We'll touch on that later.
Yeah. So I said, "Okay, so do you know these people I pointed the guns at too? And by me saying sorry, do you think it will help them? You point out a problem. What is the solution?" Because people are quick to point out problems, yeah.
Of
but
course.
they don't have that. When they can point out the problem and not have a solution, they're a hater. It's true.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They can point out a problem and not be. They're a hater. But I surround myself with winners these days. I think it's like, it's funny. The other day, my mate picked me up in his Rolls Royce. He's a big success story out of Mount Druitt. He's got a thing called Lazarus Financial, and he picked me up. And we went to Crown, picked up our mate who's a massive music producer. And then we went to Double Bay, like, la-di-da. And we sat in his pub, and I was sort of sitting there thinking, how the fuck did I get here? And it's a matter of water finds its own level, right? I wouldn't be in that company if I hadn't earned it.
Well, you're a product of your own environment,
Yeah.
right? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's the old
Yeah.
saying. So, like, the more you hang out with the people that, hanging out with trouble, fucking doing all the wrong things in life, you're going to be the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
You would have picked it up in football. You couldn't afford. You're a rugby league player going forward, right, with a future, and you wanted to. And I guess you jump on a field and you play with Andrew Johns and players like that, you're going to be a better player from it, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. 100%. Like, for me growing up, it was easy to go down that route. Like, I had mates that, were starting to experiment with drugs at the youngest age of 15, 16, and I was hanging out with these guys, and I was the only odd one out, and I just felt like I didn't belong. Like, this is not who I am. And then, like, I'm a very loyal person. Like, I'll do anything for my mates, but the hardest thing for me was having to separate myself from that crowd because I know where they're going in life is not where I want to go. Yeah. So that was a very hard thing for me as a young kid. Is it a decision I regret? Definitely not, because it's taken me to where I always wanted to be. And that one thing was to debut in the NRL, live a rugby league player life, because that was my way out, right? And that was my dream. That was the one thing I was chasing. And if it resulted in me sacrificing my friendships with those kind of guys, so be it. It is what it is. I can't change that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure you would have had the same things growing up as well.
Look, there's decisions I made. Like, look, obviously I wish I would have done education, a lot more education.
Likewise.
I left school at 14,
I was 16, I dropped out. Yeah.
but I left school at 14. I went back to school in prison at about 44 years old and done what's called tertiary preparation program, which is the equivalent of HSC.
Right.
But they structure it. I wanted to study law, you know, so they structure it so I could study law, and I started studying law when I got out of prison, but it weren't for me. You know what I mean? I'll be quite honest. What happened with that was I was beaten by technology because didn't learn any technology in jail, and to study you got to have a bit of you got to know a little bit about technology, and I didn't. So
was that daunting for you? So you were 23 years in jail? Was that right?
23 in
so
total. So
you're coming out.
It was different. Well, I didn't even send an email. I had to get someone to re-show me how to use an ATM. You know, so I'm sitting in these university lecturers and they're saying download this and click on this app and fucking link and all that.
Like it's a norm.
Yeah, and my partner, a woman who became my partner, is a barrister, you know, and that's a bit of a romantic story. But anyway,
that's helpful.
Yeah. And she's in the background going, do this, do that. And I just told her, I said, stop, I've got to do this. I've got to be able to do this because you're not always going to be here and I'm going to get caught out. I don't want to get caught out, you know. And I talked to the lecturer and I said, look, I'm going to have to defer. But today I employ lawyers anyway, so I got 2 lawyers working for me, a psychologist, so I don't have to be a psychologist or a lawyer. So I just
it's like your job, brother. It's like your job.
I just passed the short board to them and they can hit it up.
So let's touch on your previous life.
Yep.
How many banks did you rob in total?
I think I was convicted of 12.
Fuck.
In total, yeah, over a period. The first was I got pinched for 3 and I escaped and got pinched for another 2 more when I escaped.
Right.
And then I escaped from Campsie Court in your way. I went to court at Campsie.
Yeah.
I had a bit of an altercation with the police and I got the better and sort of got away. And then I got pinched up in the Northern Territory for the ANZ Bank. But I got pinched for robbing a bank that I was on remand for in the National Australia at Turramurra. And then I had a break for a few years. I went into retirement. I got pinched up in the Northern Territory. And that really was a big game changer for me. You know, I spent 9 months in complete darkness in a segregation cell, you know, as punishment. And them rednecks up there, man, they're a different breed than people up in Darwin, man. They just fucking, mate, they just had this thing about teaching a city slicker from Sydney a lesson, you know, and so I got extra attention up there. I spent 9 months in basically a black hole, 23-hour darkness a day. And I had that realisation. I created that. I created my own hell, you know. I created my own hell. I put myself in a position where people could treat me like that, and I was pretty committed. I was seriously addicted to drugs and that back in the day, and so, you know, and I made a commitment. I'm not going to do this shit no more. And I got out of jail after I served 8 years. Funny story there. So I got a midnight release from John Moroney, which is out at Windsor, Northern Road, Windsor, and got a midnight release on a Saturday night. And I'd met Jim Sedaris, Jack Ellsgood, and Nick Kosseff on visits. They were visiting a bloke. And so they turned up at this party. I had a Biblos nightclub on Oxford Street, Eric Jury's club, and it was a Saturday night. It was my getting out party, right? And it was semi-gay up there on Oxford Street, as you know. And these blokes are coming up to me, kiss me, and saying, "When did you come out?" I'm saying, "Oh, I come out tonight," you know. And then Jim Sedaris said, "They think it's your coming out party." It was my getting out party, you know what I mean? I go, "What the fuck?" Because my girl was saying, because that was the day when blokes are dancing on the dance floors with no shirts on, and I was in really fucking good nick. My girl said, "Get your shirt off." I said, "I'm not getting my shirt off." I had my buttons, and blokes are rubbing me on the stomach, you know, like I'm a fucking Buddha or something like that. And I was, what the fuck? I was telling Ian Roberts about it, and he was laughing his head off. But yeah, and I got out after 8 years, and you know, I'd done a Cert 3, Cert 4 fitness instructor, and that was my intentions to get out and work in the fitness industry. And I got a job as a fitness instructor at a Japanese jockey school up at Cabarita Beach, up near the Northern Rivers there, and met the girl. Had a couple of kids. Me and her went out our own. Like, I left the jockey school, started a marketing and advertising business. Was going really well. It was going really well. I was, you know, about 12 years clean. I hadn't had a drink or a drug in 12 years, but I still had this underlying issue of the abuse that I suffered in boys' homes and that sort of stuff. So I was never dealt with. Started drinking, and it just created an avalanche. You know, back on the drugs, and then back into doing stick ups. You know, and you know, and I was smart enough then. I had a house in my name. I signed that all over there because I knew I'd seen the warning signs that this could go wrong and I could fucking get in a bit of trouble and we could lose the lot of it. So signed everything over to her, and then it just went on this path of destruction. You know, it took me 10 years to come good again. And then Julia Gillard, the best Prime Minister this country's ever seen, brought in the Royal Commission Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse, and that's where it changed my life. You know, I got the trauma counselling that I needed. You know, and I got to tell my story, and that's when the healing process started for me. And all of this, you know, this life, you know, I'll tell you something now. Bank robberies are better than jumping out of airplanes. I'm telling you, they're more of a thrill, you know. And the thing is, it's like jumping out of an airplane with people shooting at you. You know what I mean? You're going ducking and weaving. And the thrill of it, for me, the thrill was never about hurting people or anything like that. The thrill was about getting away, or, you know.
The chase.
Yeah, that was that adrenaline hit, you know what I mean? Back then, when I was robbing banks, Rodger Rogerson was at the tail end of his term. Roger that just died. Roger's rotting in hell, but he was at the tail end of killing people. You know, that's when he was still around, and that was that team of really bad coppers that would be willing to blow your head off coming out of a bank. So that was always in the back of your mind. You know, living on the precipice of death. So I had that always in the back of my mind, and you know, I was labelled the gentleman bank robber because I remember when I was in jail talking like when I went to jail. Before I got done the bank robberies, I remember sounding like it's a college in there. You're learning all different trades. I learned how to steal Porsches in boys' homes, you know. Anyway, I was talking to these bank robbers, and one of them gave me some good advice. He goes, mate, don't make people panic. You don't want to hurt anyone because when you hurt someone, that's where it could go wrong. You could get hurt, they could get hurt, and you could be doing 50 years, you know. So he said the objective is to get in as quick as you can without hurting anyone. You know, I used to go into banks and say, look, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just going to get the money. I'm sorry for fucking wrecking your day, and then apologise on the way out. And I got this tag, the gentleman bank robber. You know what I mean?
Like a modern day Ned Kelly.
Yeah, well, I was like, you know what I mean? I look, and not to say, I like to say this, regardless whether I had a gun or showed a gun or not, you still traumatise people. And I recognise that these days. And it's not something I'm proud of, you know, not something I glorify. You can't rob banks anyway anymore, so good luck to that. But, you know, and I didn't realise the trauma I caused until I realised what trauma was. When I started doing trauma counselling, I started getting these things pointed out, what I'm going through, and that the tags and labels on everything I went through. I didn't realise that's when I can have genuine remorse for what I've done. I didn't know that because not a lot of empathy and compassion was shown to me before that. So you can't give empathy and compassion if you don't know what it is. And that's what I learned. I learned through that process of the Royal Commission, and it was just what frustrates me sometimes, it was just a simple thing that corrected me, a bit of trauma counselling, and I'm on my way, you know. You show me a person with a predisposition for violence, I'll show you someone who's mostly fair chance they've had some childhood trauma somewhere. You show me a serious drug addict, there'll be a fair chance there'll be some sort of trauma. And I talk about these today. I say, you know, I mean, we don't worry about looking at the drug, how we get someone clean. Let's look at their trauma, which causes the drug addiction. Let's look at the underlying issue of the drug addiction.
Taking drugs is an escape.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, for exactly what you said, past trauma, something that's triggering you to kind of get away from that and not think about it. And unfortunately,
that's just rehabilitation is so simple. It is so simple, but they just overlook it and they get these university peoples in that people, and they wouldn't know shit from Shayola. They just really wouldn't. Hopefully we start to go along the lines of people who've lived experience like myself. There's a really good guy called Jeff Morgan. He was a South junior. You know, Morgan's a good bloke. And, you know, people like him that have the winning formula, like, let's just apply the winning formula. Look at that Wes Watson. I don't know if you follow Wes Watson. Follow him on social media. I encourage people to follow him. He's just you fat motherfucker, get off the fucking lounge. And he's just one of them guys, you know what I mean? And he says it how it is. But just treating trauma and, you know, all of that life, that criminal life, sure. People ask me, you know, what's jail like? Jail was, it's not all fucking tears and fucking, you know, it was fun at times, you know, because there was a real sense of camaraderie amongst us boys, especially from my area. It's one of those, I guess it's like a football tour. There's always pranksters going on. You know, someone's rubbing chili in someone's jocks, or, you know what I mean, fucking, or giving someone a Beatles haircut, or, you know what I mean. I remember this bloke. They were on the home brew. You know, they're making the home brew out of oranges and sugar and stuff like that, and they got the tattoo gun out, And old mate thought he was getting a big wizard tattooed on his back, and what he tattooed was a fucking rat fucking holding a massive fucking schlong. You know what I mean? He goes, what the fuck? And I've seen some funny things go on with tattoo guns, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, going to a bank robbery, like we touched on it before, athletes and prisoners.
It's my state of origin.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. That's your state of origin. But how do you put trust into the bloke next to you?
That's a hard one.
Because not only that, like you're going into risking your freedom, risking your life.
Yeah.
Like I'm going on the footy field just, risking a game, like winning or losing, but you're going there.
Good question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the blokes I was doing banks with were, I'm fortunate. Like, you hear of horror stories where they do stupid things and someone gets shot or something like that. You know, I was the shot caller and all those sorts of things, you know what I mean? And I was telling them how it would go down. And then after the event, I wasn't one of these blokes where one of them told on me and tried to get a better deal or something like that from it. It never happened with us. But the reason why we initially got caught was, we robbed the National Australia Bank at Turramurra and he never got his balaclava on.
Oh,
so they put him under surveillance. And here I am. Like, I knew that at the time, so I stayed away from him for about 5 or 6 months. And I thought, and then after about 5 or 6 months, I said, they haven't arrested him yet. So I started turning up. And back then I've got the late SV 5000 Commodore was like, I paid 75 grand for one of them in cash, pulled cash out. Like, and I was living in a beautiful joint at Chipping Norton and I was living beyond my means, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have an income. So the coppers would have looked at me and went, bang, this bloke's off. And they put me under surveillance. Eventually we ended up getting pinched. They had no evidence on me. But how they done it back then was my girl at the time was a school teacher. She was in her first year of practice as a school teacher. And then they said, because I bought her a car, they said to me, if you don't admit to 3 bank robberies, they initially wanted me to admit to 5, we'll charge her with accessory after the fact because of that car you bought her. And she had nothing to do with it. She was just an innocent person. She just thought I bought her a gift, because I told her I was some sort of salesman and she copped them, But so I signed myself up to 3 bank robberies, and if I would have taken it to trial, I would have beat them. There was no, even though I'd done them, there was no evidence on me. There was nothing to point, the finger at me other than I bought a couple of things,
I can't make sense of it. Like, you're going into something, and were these guys like your best mates? Like, was there ever a time, is this guy going to rattle me after we do this, when we pull this off? Because we've seen it happen. Like, we've seen the Comanchero's boss, Mick Howie, get shot by his best mate. We've seen Danny Karam, shot by his best mate.
I love Danny. Yeah. I love Mick too. Good bloke.
I actually got memories of Danny growing up. He was good mates with my dad, and probably around 9 or 10 used to come to our house and
He's
stuff.
my training partner at Goulburn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's my training partner. I used to watch him bang out sets of 35 chin-ups, like do 4 or 5 sets of 35. Unbelievable. He had some interesting stories about, the war and everything like that. But, getting back to your question, I met my mates that I was doing the bank. We met in boys' homes. We met at Darrick Boys' Home. So, and we, the bloke I got pinched with my bank robbery, I got pinched with everything. We started off after boys' home getting pinched. Like, we went to jail at 16 together. We got pinched for stealing a Porsche. So we just knew each other. I knew he was never going to tell on me, and I knew he was never going to tell on me. And the other bloke, it was funny because I was with my girl at the time. She was a school teacher, and there was a thing in the Daily Telegraph about him escaping. And I said, we'll just go and find him. And she goes, what do you mean you'll just go and find him? I said, yeah, I know where he is. And they said, but he's one of the... I said, first door I knocked on, here he is. Mate, geez, you took your time getting here. I've been waiting here for days for you, you know what I mean? Because it's that, I don't know, it's like the things the black fella's got, you know what I mean? And we just know where someone's going to be, you know what I mean? So she never stopped talking about that for months. She goes, I still can't believe how you did that. And I said, ESP, you know what I mean? It's just, you just know.
Intuition.
Yeah, but and then we went for all our jail and everything that together, all as tight as. But it was funny because that one guy I got pinched mainly from, I was at Maitland Jail with him, and he called me out to the Oval, and we went for a walk, and he goes, mate, you know what? He goes, me and you ain't good for each other anymore. He goes, we've got to go our own separate ways. And he said, yeah, because we keep getting pinched, we kept getting fucking up. We make doing bad shit easy together. We'll enable each other. And I agreed to that, and I said, yeah, sounds good to me.
You touched on a few pranks in prison. Was there one prank that just stands out for you?
Oh yeah, I remember this really high profile white collared bloke coming into prison, and he had a big trial coming up, and they asked me to give him a haircut, and I give him a fucking number. Like, first thing I just jammed, like, he had like a big sort of fucking mop of hair. And I jammed the clippers into his head, and he goes, "What the fuck?" And I just took his fringe out. Then I left him with a big rat's tail, and he's this really well-to-do, fucking Scots College educated fucking businessman, and he's going to trial 2 days later with a fucking rat's tail. You know what I mean? The rat's tail ended up coming off.
That wouldn't have helped him.
Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't a good look, but he heaps of things. I remember this bloke, and you got communal
showers.
They wash their clothes and everything. But there's a bloke he's paid to wash everyone's clothing, and I hated this guy because he killed his wife. So I used to sneak in there and rub his jocks down with chili, really fucking hot chili. And this bloke was a really, really good trainer. He was really protected by the screws. They were always keeping an eye on him. And just watching this bloke, he was sitting, he just fucking, it was just 60 blokes kept the secret for 2 weeks because I kept on getting him every day, And he'd come out, I've got to change the washing powder, and he's coming back with cream from the clinic one day. He goes, "Mate, I fucking hope this is going to help." And you know what I mean? He's fucking, because my balls are on fire, you know what I mean?
I did something similar in the sheds. I got one of the boys' undies and rub,
Yeah.
the heat.
Yeah.
All into the undies.
Oh, man.
And I'll never forget, we're all watching, waiting to get dressed. And then he's like, "Oh, fuck." He's taking it off. He's just running streakers up and down the shit. Oh, it was hilarious. He never recovered after that. He always double checked.
I love that. I remember getting screws to fight each other. You know what I mean? Just going to them, "Mate, were you at the Christmas party in a Borat fucking mankini dancing on the tables?" And they're going, "What?" And they're going, that's what he's fucking saying. He's going, "Hey, mate," fucking, he's pulling out a screw. "I don't wear Borat mankinis." He's going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's really aggressive to him. He's going, some real bad juice head. You know what I mean? Fucking, just revving them up,
How do you get stuff in jail? I've always wondered that.
Yeah,
if it's a packet of smokes or a phone, how does
you
it get
think
in?
about a packet of White Ox, right? It costs you $40 that's worth $800 in there. A phone, you could get a $50 throwaway from whatever, and they're worth $1,000. So, the screws, I don't know. My mate was saying to me, who, my brother was a prison officer, he was a trades assistant, right? And you just have a look at the car park and say who's on the take and who's got the best car. If he's driving a Mercedes-Benz, there's a fair chance he's just not on a prison officer's fucking... Back in the day, I remember because my brother was a prison officer, they'd all do business with me. They'd all trust me. They'd say, "Mate, you need anything brought in, fucking just come and see me. I'm cheaper than him." And they were fighting for my business. And it was like a sports bag. As long as there was no weapons in it, it could be fucking porn, it could be food, it could be whatever, training stuff, even juice. And I could get them brought in. I had this one guy who'd get the express route for $150. So as soon as I needed, I would go over and see him. I'd say, "Can you get?" He'd go, "I'll just jump in the van, tell him to meet me at Duffy's on Anzac Parade, $150. And because I remember once, there was a bloke, I won't say his name, but real high profile at the time in the 80s, big drug importer, a hash importer. I remember me and him, when he had plenty of coin. I said, "You jump in here with me and we'll live like kings, And I said, "You need anything?" And he goes, yeah. And so we got green lobster tails and fucking Remy Martin cognac, and it was the first of the big fucking brick phones. And I can remember cooking these, we got this little Weber barbecue. I'm cooking steaks and lobster tails and that. And I've got the fan blowing the smoke out the window and looking down at him sitting on his bed with the fucking sipping cognac. And on a phone, I was thinking, this is how you do jail, This is how you do it.
Lavish.
Yeah, living lavish, And my mate coming up from another jail saying, "You want a beer?" And he'd go, "What? When I want a fucking beer?" And I got this, I wasn't a drinker, so I had one of those little cork esky things with 6 Heinekens in it, and I had it hidden in the fridge. And I'd say, I'd open, he'd go, "What?" And the footy's on, Friday night footy, "You want a beer with me?" And he's sitting there having a beer. And he goes, "Next thing you're going to say, you want a bong?" I said, "Well, I've got some of that as well if you want them for fucking visitors," you know what I mean?
Do you guys watch footy in prison?
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
Massive, mate. The footy season in prison is the best part of jail because it goes quick, because everyone's occupied. You have a thing called a footy tippins. So you got to pick this, within the margins, and then, whoever wins it might win fucking 30 cans of tuna or,
oh, nice.
But every week, every jail you go to, footy's massive in there. Them South supporters, man, they're bonkers.
Yeah.
Everything's going, and everyone
it's religion for them.
Massive. It's massive. But yeah, football. I organised a charity day in 1993 at Long Bay, we had all the NRL teams come in and some rugby union teams come in, and that was in Tricky and Duncan McRae, Craig Field, we were with South.
You know Fieldsy well?
Yeah.
He was my assistant coach in 2009 for Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately he
went away.
Yeah.
And then Penrith had Lee Odenron. No, Lee Odenron was with Parramatta then. Penrith brought out a team, the West Tiger. It was West Magpies back then, but it was Souths and Warringah Rugby Union in the final of this touch knockout. It was fucking. You would have paid to watch that. There was so much talent there. Tyrone Smith, Duncan McRae, Matty Sears coming with North Sydney. Tallis was St George then.
Yeah, wow.
Some good players come in for that, and we raised $20,000 for Bear Cottage Children's Hospice. I think we got Wayne Pearce's old jersey, what was the number 8 lock jersey.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I think that got like $15,000 at a raffle on the outside.
Pretty good deed.
Yeah. So we raised $20,000 for that. Yeah, football's massive in there. And I can remember Jack Gibson in '87 bringing in Mal. I think Ricky Stewart. Jack Gibson used to be massive in going out. He had a good mate called John Sattler. They were really good mates. He was always visiting the jails. Football is so big in there, and it has such a big impression on guys out there. Like people, you still get some of them kids that think they could still make it. If you haven't made grade by the time you're 23, there's a fair chance you're not going to make it.
Very hard.
Yeah,
we've seen some guys do it, like Cody Walker. He's absolutely flourishing in the back end of his career now.
Yeah.
He's
and there was that guy over in from Western Australia that made Richmond Tigers grand final he made 2 grand finals and he done jail. I think he's a kicker, but very rare. Very rare.
Did you get to experience the King's Cross days?
Yeah, 100%.
Unlucky to the young'uns coming through now.
Yeah, I can remember, because I was good friends with Danny Krem. He was my training partner at Goulburn, and it's a real sad what's happened to that place. You know what I mean? And I think it's a bit of a, I think, if I was an overseas tourist coming from somewhere like New York or London, I wouldn't be going to Sydney because it's dead.
Yeah.
It's dead. But the people and the characters, that's what made it. Everyone had a nickname, and everyone had nicknames and everyone knew everyone. And I don't even think it was a dangerous place to be.
Did you get to see the dark side of the cross? Did you rub shoulders with those guys?
There was a dark side to the cross, and that was the King's Cross War where the young boys prostituted themselves. And back then,
who were those boys?
There were a lot of boys from boys' homes. I knew a lot of them, you know what I mean, that were being sexually abused in boys' homes and that sort of thing, and ended up there. And you had the likes of Rogerson protecting those. You could go down. I remember one of my first things walking past on Darlinghurst Road, the wall. It's a big sandstone wall, looks like a prison wall, and the boys would be hanging there, and you'd see Rolls Royces, Mercedes Benz, and you'd see all these sort of really creepy looking blokes, and they were pedophiles just sitting in cars with cop cars just driving past, knowing full well who was sitting in the car.
I didn't even know there was that darker side of the cross.
There was that.
I knew there was gangs. You had obviously the Ibrahims put it in their muscle and stuff like that. And Bayer, is it Bill Bayer?
Yeah, I caught up with Billy the other day. He actually rang me the other day. I don't know why, but Billy and Louis Bayer, had all the strip clubs and
yes.
And but that's all characters. They were all characters, them guys. You know what I mean? I just love that hustle and bustle that went amongst them. And before that, obviously, George Freeman would have had a bit of an influence up there, you know what I mean? But we don't have that sort of these days.
Did you have anything to do with Rodger Rogerson?
I'll tell you a funny story. So when I got pinched for the armed robberies,
was he that corrupt? Because
he was, mate, but he had a lot of influence way after he got kicked out the police force. He still had heaps of them on the take. Yeah, 100% he did. But what happened was when I got pinched, they found $30,000 in my roof, and the cops, and they just split it up. They go, oh, yeah. And they'd say, mate, how much? I'd say there's 30 grand there. So the 4 of them got $7.5 grand each. And they're drinking beers and trying on my clothes. They were gangsters. And I had a gold chain. Oh, mate, I need that. And he takes it off and puts it on his neck. Not Rodger Rogerson, but his team, Then years later, I'm up at Lithgow Prison and Wood Royal Commission of Corruption come along. And so I get caught out. And it's real sus because you get legal visits at certain days, but this was off an off day. And I went down and I'm going, what the fuck's that? And they said, hey, look, we're from the Wood Royal Commission. I said, yeah. what do you want with me? And they said, we know about them robbing you for that money. And I said, who? And they said, it was like, I don't know, have you ever seen Getting Square, the movie Getting Square? And there's John Spiteri and he makes out like he's a junkie. And I'm going, when they said there was money in your roof, I said, there was money in my fucking roof and I was out doing bank robberies. Nah, there was no money in my roof. And I said, I wouldn't keep money. And I just had this moment with these cops and they were fucking scratching their head if they had the right person. And I said, no. Now, these are uncorruptible, part of a Wood Royal Commission into corruption, right? Anyway, years later, I'm down at Junee and a bloke called Arthur Loveday calls me out and he goes to me, oh, the boys are really happy with you. And I said, what boys? He goes, Rodger and the crew. And I said, and I knew he was mates with Rodger Rogerson, right? And I said, fucking Rodger. He said, right. And he said, oh, mate, they heard about you not telling on the coppers. And they said, they just want you to know that you're sweet and you ever want to do business with them, they'll do business with you. And I went, like corruption, you know. And I went, oh, well, that's fucking mighty nice of them. That's really nice. Well. Then years later, I went to the fights at Manly and I was in a club after it. And Rodger was there with Arthur. And Arthur said, come over and see Rodger. And he had eyes, man. His eyes were just like fucking, like I've seen bad people. Like he's got the same eyes. I've met Ivan Milat in prison and I've met a few of them sort of people, but he was just as bad as any of them. They just fucking look through you. And he goes, yes, well, the boys are really happy with what you did. You didn't say anything up there. And I said, oh, well, that's fucking, and he goes, if you've ever got a friend that's in a pickle, a spot of bother that, you know, needs a bit of assistance, meaning, he said, just get in contact with me. And he said, I'll just see, you know, obviously for a price to see if we can sort of, change a few things and get them out of it. And I said, oh, that's really nice of you. And I said, yes, well, I had no intentions of ever going anywhere near that guy.
You reckon there's been a lot of murders that he hasn't been convicted for?
100%. He killed Flannery. There's no doubt about it. He killed Mr. Renickle. That's common knowledge.
Yeah. Did he kill Ron Frankie as well?
Yeah, Ron Frankie, yeah. He just knocked him. Oh. He just knocked him. That was just cold blood over robbing his drug dealers and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And apparently pulling a gun off a cop, that was always bullshit.
What about was that partner he was sleeping with? What was her name? Sarah? Was it Sarah Ann?
Sally Ann Huckstep. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That's a bit of a mystery, that one still. I think it always will be. But he was a bad man. He was badder than, you know, any of these fucking, the crims that he was arresting were. Fucking hope he was a killer. What
about what's your opinion on the Ibrahims, particularly John Ibrahim?
Well, I like John. I think John's a stand-up guy. I think John's a stand-up guy. I like how he goes about his business. He does it with integrity. He's not one of these blokes that's in the crime commission giving up people, trying to feather his own nest. He's a stand-up guy. I've seen this guy down at his house at Dover Heights bagging him and he come out and old mate shit himself and John come out like, what's your fucking problem? You want to have a crack? And old mate hit the fucking Skittles and took off. I like that. I like that friendship that he's got with Carl Sandilands. That's fucking like that's a genuine, authentic friendship. And that's testament to his character. Like, you know, I mean, they're mates. Nothing. The media have tried pulling fucking things to separate them, and you know what I mean. They just stick with each other, you know.
Were there any footballers in prison where you kind of gravitated towards, or hung out with, or rubbed shoulders with?
Dane Laurie. I really like Dane Laurie. I reckon he was just
he's a big man.
A big man. Dane Laurie.
Can hold his own.
John Elias. Fucking character. Character.
He was my coach in 2009.
Top bloke. John Elias, how could you not love him?
Yeah. I love his laugh.
Yeah. Obviously, Fieldsy is a good guy, you know what I mean? Like, fucking there's a classic example. One punch, man. Fucking fuck your life, you know what I mean?
How long did he go for? I can't remember.
He done 8, I think. He done 8. And I knew the bloke. I knew the bloke that, you know, that he punched. He was a good guy too, you know. He was just a fucking, you know, a farmer from up the Northern Rivers, you know what I mean? It was just a bad day for two people, you know what I mean? And one punch and off, because there was nothing like he stomped on his head or anything. It was one punch. That's what I say to these young footballers, man. You know, you're going to have these people, are going to antagonise you. I was talking to Lids about it the other day, and he was talking about, you know, they can't have a shit in peace. You know, someone's hanging the camera over the fucking toilet, and you're going to get these grubs, these failures, antagonising them. You've got to basically be a monk to be a successful, whether it be a boxer or professional athlete. You got to live that's how you got to live like a monk. When it's over, become a party animal.
It's the life you choose, but it's a price you pay, mate. Like, it comes with the expectation. You know, you want to be a professional athlete, professional boxer, whatever you want to be in terms of high performance. If you're in the public eye, that's the price you got to pay, unfortunately. Like,
it's the game itself, though, Josh. You know what I mean? It's like they've really. What do you think about the game itself? Since when you first started playing, like, do you think it was tougher when you first started playing or when you finished playing?
I feel like the contact was bigger when I was first started playing. I feel like the game's definitely has speeded up a lot, particularly the 6 again rule. That's where I think where it starts getting grey, right? Because you're starting to see more concussions, more people getting knocked out, and that's because of the speed of the game, and there's more fatigue in the game. So if you more fatigue, less technique, you're just trying to make a tackle. You're on your haunches, and you got a guy coming at you, flying at you. You got to do your best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like boxing, right? Like you see a boxer, he hardly put his gloves up anymore. He's just waiting to get knocked out. And I feel like it's obviously over time it's gonna keep getting faster. Blokes are gonna keep getting stronger, faster themselves. There's gonna be something's got to give. I feel
they're bigger
and bigger. It's
you know,
scary, man. It's scary.
Yeah, I look at one of these 100 like a Trot, and I think, how do you stop that? How do you stop him when he's in full flight? Like, fuck.
It's not only that; it's just the power, man. Like, you know, you got guys like Latrell, man. He's just raw strength, like just bumping off 2 guys at a time. Like that's scary. Imagine
he's so talented. I get so angry that the treatment that bloke gets. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just got to shut his mouth and just be a good little fucking slave to the game. You know what I mean? He can't, and I love his stuff about him going to his farm. I can see what he gets out. He's got that farm up north somewhere. I love seeing that, and I love his friendship with Jack White. That's really cool to see that 2 brothers. You know what I mean? They're really tight, but these weak gutted dogs that give him that what they say about him, like, man, they need a fucking good dose of reality. They need a good dose of Goulburn jail, mate. They'll fucking, because I'll tell you what about racism and everything. Like, that's one place you won't be racist. You want to go to jail in Goulburn and try being a racist down there, mate. You'll get the fucking racism stabbed out of you. Who was the toughest conditioner that you work with?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Man. It's
and
hard
why?
To say.
And why?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Like Ronnie was tough, but like he was so positive, and he was like, you know, he's such a nice guy. But whenever he said something, you still respected it, and you just got the job done. Gilly from in 2016, Tony Guilfoyle under Anthony Griffin. That was a tough preseason, man. Like I remember rocking up on day 1, and we were just running like nonstop. Could barely walk for the whole week. But my toughest preseason to date was about 2020, and that really shaped us and shaped Penrith what they are today. I believe they're just a well-oiled machine, man. They're all about processes.
Because you're creating that standard, ain't you?
It's all about culture. You know yourself. Like it's the people you hang out with, your teammates, your coaching. It's the environment you're in, and we're all just obsessed in winning, man. I've said this before on the show, and it's, to me, it's no secret to where they are today, because they solely invest their whole life into footy and being successful. And it's not easy, man, climbing Mount Everest every single year. You know, they've done it 3 years in a row. They've constantly found motivation and a why they want to win it again. You know what I mean? Some people just say, I've already won it. You know what I mean? I can just kick back now. I've won it once, twice. I don't have to win it a 3rd time. But
they're going to win it again.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they do. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, they do got stiffer competition this year. Like, they've got the emergence of Manly coming through. Brisbane have lost the grand final now. Does it make them more eager enough to win and topple them in a grand final? The Roosters. I think they're a bit of an underdog this year. I feel like last year, I feel like last year they were hyped a lot. They just couldn't get it right. They had a few injuries, but I feel like this year they've got the right cogs in that team. They know who their half is, Sam Walker. They've invested time in Brendan Smith now. I feel like they're going to go really well this year. I really do. I feel like James Tedesco got a bit of a unfair stick last year. You know, like, and that's what happens when you're such a successful and such a freak of a talent. Constantly,
good guy too. I bumped him up at Kingscliff. You know, and it was always real affable, always giving you time, and really good guy. Who was the best? I'm a real halfback fan. Who was the best halfback you ever played with?
Oh, Nathan Cleary. Yeah. Oh, man. I played with Cooper Cronk, Nathan Cleary, JT. Like, these guys are just another level, man. Like, Nate's definitely up there. Definitely up there. You know, he's pretty much achieved everything that those guys have in
Watching
their whole
this state of
careers.
origin this year, I think that grand final just changed that kid.
I agree, and I spoke to him on the show last time out, and he said that last series that really had a big effect on him. And I feel like this year, if he was to get that call up, man, it's going to be a different Nathan. I truly believe that. He's just a guy that really wants to
humble too.
Humble as they come. Comes from a great family, man. And again, you're a product of your own environment, right?
Yeah.
And
what's that? John Wayne Palmer, one of my favourite fighters, says the potato don't fall far from the tree.
Our previous guest on the show was Damien Cook, and in that envelope he wrote you a question. So I don't know. It could be anything actually.
It could be. Let's go.
Could be generic. Could be very deep. We'll wait and see. You got to read it out. You got to read it out loud.
If you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life, what would it be? It would be The Town.
The Town.
The Town. Ben Affleck.
Oh yes.
And it's like growing up in Mount Druitt, or I often think about Glebe because Glebe produced really good stick-up people, and they got second and third generation bank robbers from Glebe. So Ben Affleck was just so good on it, and then and then the second one would be Heat because I think De Niro just blew Pacino away in that.
There's something very common with these movies about
armed robberies, previous life, But yeah, I just think The Town because there's just so many things in it, like that friendship and how they went about it was just really well. And I've seen some post about the bloke who it was based on. That movie was based on, And I see it. He goes to Narcotics Anonymous meetings trying to get off. He was a hockey player, an ice hockey player that was failed, had some injuries, got hooked on oxycodone, got clean, and his dad was in jail. His dad was an armored van robber. So you know what I mean. I know families like that. I know blokes in prison that were in prison cells with their dad.
Wow.
Imagine watching your dad having a fucking shit. You're in a fucking.
Dad,
do you mind fucking giving that
I don't think I want to picture that.
Well, and that's that whole thing because that's how it goes down. You're in a cell of a morning. Someone's sitting on that. You might wake up and someone's sitting on snapping one off. It's like, mate, do you mind giving that a courtesy flight?
I was going to say, any air freshener getting around?
Yeah, and there's none of that. There's none of that. You might, and that's that whole thing, And then later on that night, old mate's got the toilet lid down, sitting there eating his dinner on it.
Oh, Well, brother, you got the privilege now to write a question for our next guest, and that's you're gonna ask who for, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, no.
Okay, no, sweet.
You can't. That's
good as gold.
That's a secret. That's the beauty of it. So pick up that next envelope under it, and
hopefully they can understand my writing because I've got doctors writing.
How is it, brother? Deep?
Yeah, well, it is, but I like to know this thing with everyone. Like, I like to know, and my question is, who inspires you to be better? Because I've had a few people like that, and we just talked about Mark Burris, and that guy, when I walk away from him, he's like fucking Tony Robbins to me. It's like, that bloke's a winner, and he celebrates people's success, and the first question, what he asks is, how did you do it? Like, if you had a win, he'll go, how'd you do it? He won't be hating on you. It'll be fucking, and he's genuinely happy for you. So after my conversations with him, he's a guy that inspires me to be better. I have a lot of contact with him, so.
I love that, man.
Yeah, he does. He's just a.
You never know. It could be him next that you're asking that question.
Hopefully. I dead set throwing a good word. He's a good guy, Mark, and and that's funny, the people like. Fuck these, mate. These are childproof. Anyway.
Beautiful.
So
put it aside. Get comfortable.
There's a bloke called Gary Jubal, and I Catch Killers. He's a cop. He's another good one for you. And he used to be a homicide squad cop, and I've become really good friends with him. And now you talk about sitting back in prison all those years ago. If someone would have said, you're going to be fucking mates with an ex-harm hold-up squad, he would have been part of the team that was chasing me at one stage. You're going to be good mates with him. I would have, mate, get off the Xanax.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're getting to, share these stories now.
Yeah.
All that experience.
I've done 3 podcasts with him. He's a fucking top bloke, and I class him as a friend, And if Johnny Lewis says someone's a good bloke, because Johnny Lewis loves him, he's a good bloke.
Well, you're writing a book as well?
I've got a book. We'll have it out early next year with a firm, publishing place from Melbourne, who's done Mark. They've done a few good ones. Mark Hunt, they've done a lot.
Can you give us a little sneak peek on what this book's going to entail?
Obviously, it'll be an autobiography, basically, with the base, we're trying to work out, I'm trying to think, when I was on ABC's Australian Story about 2 years ago, and the psych jumped on, psychologist, Professor Ian Coyle said Russell was 1,000,000 to 1 shot of turning his life around.
Yeah, well.
1,000,000 to 1 shot. They were the odds on me, and I'd done it. So maybe we might call it the 1,000,000 to 1 shot. I don't know. It might be an apt title, but and there's a bit of research to go behind it. But yeah, it'll be basically about my life. It could be a love story too, because there's people in my life.
You got an expected release date?
Well, I think more towards March next year. Yeah. So we'll do a book launch. You guys are going to be invited, so I hope you guys come.
I love that, brother. I'll be there for sure. Anything else in the pipeline?
I'm going to the UK on the 18th to do a few big podcasts over there. James English, Anything Goes, which is massive YouTube podcast, massive in the UK. He's interviewed a lot of big gangsters, a lot of influential people. So to get approached to do that was a dead set honour. And as soon as he said, I'll be there next week. You know what I mean? So I'm flying to London and going to Scotland to do that. I'm going to jump in the lock. I'm going to have a swim in the water, the cold water, when I'm in Scotland. Going to give that a go. Test the balls.
It's going to be inverted.
Oh, they already are. Don't need that. No. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, just that, and the book, and doing speaking gigs, and I love going to talk to troubled kids and stuff like that. That's a passion of mine, and just fucking loving life, man. Because I pinch myself. I'm so grateful. I've got the best life. I live, in God's country. I've got a beautiful farm which I get away to, and I'm being so blessed. But you know what? It's that old adage: the harder I work, the luckier I get. And it's all about that, putting in, giving back. I'm not a religious man at all, but I think the universe is very kind to me, and the more I give, the more I get.
I agree, man. I'm big on that. And brother, you're just vibrating. You're giving out positive energy, and your story is remarkable, man. And it was a privilege to get you on the show, and hopefully we can rub shoulders when.
Definitely, Josh. Let's go and cut you down a city gin.
Let's go, brother.
That's a place of pace. I love that joint.
I love it, bro. Let's go.
Let's go.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Cheers, brother.